everyone. Vidette Mayer here. Welcome to today's Daily Tune In. I'm doing this a little bit later because today has been it's been a rough one. So I want to be vulnerable and be honest when I do these daily tune-ins because I can come in here with all the information about what to expect energetically, what's going on. And I also want you to know that I am navigating these energies just as much as you are. And although I've come to kind of understand them, I've become pretty intimate with this process of ascension and this process of raising our frequency and what's happening in the cosmos and what's happening in these biblical times. And but it doesn't mean that it still doesn't affect me. So as I record this, it's my morning. So it's Tuesday morning, and for many of you, you are resting and sleeping at night. So I've already been through my night here in the Ukraine, and last night was extremely pressurized. My head felt like it was in a vice grip. It almost felt like something was squeezing my head, and during that time, I simply, and I always talk about, just being in the process. And that's exactly how I ride these waves when they affect me and bowl me over. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but at first I want to show you what's going on in the Schuman Resonance, because although it looks really quiet, I want to dig into a part of it that I think is quite interesting, and you might find it interesting as well. So let's go over to that. We are at the Schuman Resonance, and we talked a little bit about some of these heavier frequencies that have been coming through the lower frequencies within us. So these lower frequencies are the emotional densities, the physical densities that we might have in our bodies, and those densities are the lower frequency aspects or compromised parts of us that are unhealthy parts of us. So the lower densities of emotions and the lower densities in our bodies are kind of being cauterized or being zapped, so to speak, by these energies. If you come over to today, it looks relatively quiet, and at first you're kind of like, okay, that's good. Now, what I have come to understand is after we get these white zaps, this is where we kind of get the shower and the flooding. And this is when it's calmer, I have noticed this is where we do the integration phase, where we sit with everything that this actually kind of washes into the light. All right. So when we get our energetic showers, it's really not washing everything. It's washing some of it away. It's washing kind of the previous purge, but it's also then revealing the next layer of things that we will have to process. So there are many in humanity that are still working through this process. But the other thing that I find quite interesting is if we look down here at these little zaps right here, I believe this is what has kind of created or triggered some of the things that we are now going to be moving into as far as processing. So if you look at these little zaps here, these are in the higher frequency realms between the 24 and 28 frequency hertz. That is where our emotional heart and our superconscious is down here in these frequencies, where it's kind of like really just quiet, right? So we're getting into these higher frequencies that are being triggered by these zaps of higher frequency energy. This is a really good thing. However, what's happening is it's really kind of zapping into the heart, the truth of our hearts. What is it that our hearts really want? What is it that our hearts are being pulled forth to as we get over here, as we kind of get these higher or these bigger frequencies that come all the way down into the superconscious? This is when our soul desires are really being triggered. So there's a lot of stuff here that's happening in our heart space that is bringing to light the feelings that we are desiring, the feelings that our heart is wanting us to move into, the feelings in the higher frequencies, the more life-expanding emotions like courage and willingness, optimism, love. So this, as it kind of gets zapped open, it then bubbles up, and then it becomes all the little things. These are the filtered things that are standing in the way of us living in those higher frequencies. This is the stuff like shame, guilt, grief, fear, scarcity, insecurity, anger, overwhelm, anxiousness, all of those things that are having to be um, worked through in order to get these filters out of our system, these lower densities out of our system, so we can live in these higher frequencies. If it was left up to the human mind, to humanity as they are now in the collective, these lower frequencies aren't being worked through because but there aren't many that are willing to sit with the lower frequencies and really process them. We are being forced to do that with these higher frequencies as they come in. So what's being disrupted is not only the lower frequencies, but also the emotions and the soul desires that are starting to really bubble up. That is why we're starting to get more and more of this awareness of what we do want and what we long for and what we desire and what happened to those desires. They got covered up by all of the other things in life. So this is really interesting as far as what is happening in this present moment, and really answered a lot of my questions as far as what was this experience I had overnight with my head. So the sun is just ready to come through the window here. So as I was sitting this morning and, kind of feeling really groggy, feeling really weird because I had such an odd night. The night felt super long, which they have been. And a lot of that really is, time, we always hear time is an illusion. And we think we understand on a mental note what time is, and yet time can be slowed down or sped up in our highest and best good by the Creator, by Source, by Spirit. So I believe that's what's really been happening, because I've seen a lot of people say, "Man, last night felt so long," and especially last night being in this head pressure and just knowing that there was nothing that not that I couldn't do. I could go take an aspirin. I drank a lot of water throughout the night because I was just kind of flushing my system, as well as anchoring in these higher energies. As we get these higher energies, the ones that I just showed you and those higher frequencies on the Schuman, those are disrupting so much within us that it's really bubbling up all of the things. And not only that, it's bringing our bodies up to a higher frequency. So our bodies are adjusting to these higher frequencies. Therefore, water or grounding in earth and outside in nature is what's actually going to help us anchor in these higher frequencies. So when I got up, I was going through my card deck, which I created these. I've had a couple of people ask me about them, and this is a card deck I created for a workshop that I do. So they're not for sale, and unless you do the workshop. Let me go over this way. So this is like some of the emotions that bubble up quite a bit when these are the most felt ones, the most popular ones, so to speak. And I wanted to kind of get underneath, this head pressure. It was like, what am I feeling? Because I also felt very disrupted emotionally, and I couldn't quite put my finger. I'm usually pretty good at being like, oh, here's grief. Oh, I'm fearing this. But last night was really different. And what came out when I looked at my cards, it was really the feeling of powerlessness. I was feeling powerless in a couple of different areas of my life. So if we break this down, the calibration really is just the frequency at which these emotions resonate. And on the ladder here, powerlessness is right under courage. So it's almost the last step before you get into a life expanding emotions. So the good thing was I was at the lesson here is I was still in these. I'm trying to get it out of the sunlight so you guys can see, but the life constricting area where powerlessness resides, and yet I was very close to that life expanding emotion, but I was still feeling powerless, and which tells me that then this is ego-led. Powerless, feeling powerless is completely a construct of my mind. It's not my heart. It's not my spirit saying you're powerless, because that is not a truthful resonance with our soul. Our soul will never be in those lower frequencies. That is always ego-led. So it's a construct of the mind. And then if it goes down, the physical response, typically powerlessness, this energy resides in the kidney area. Got some oil therapy that you can do. But one of the things that I did do was I went to my kidneys in my kidney area, and you can just bring your attention, your awareness, or you can put pressure on that point and start to then say the affirmation, I am empowered, I am empowered, I am courageous. And this is how we move up the scale to the next level. You know, I am courageous to overcome this powerlessness. This situation that I was lamenting over really was making me feel powerless, or was where I was choosing to feel powerless. The more that I switched my thoughts to the other side of it, to know I do have power. The power is the hard part sometimes. Being true in our power. You can manipulate power. You can deceive people. You can deceive a situation to grab the power. But that's not how we do it here. That's not how I do it. So grabbing the power back into my soul and heart level is the harder part, because it requires us to let it go. I do not control the situation at hand. I do not manipulate it into my favor in order to have power back. That's not it. So to sit there in the feeling of powerlessness and being powerless over having any control over the situation, I just had to be in it and reaffirm over and over that what I am doing is the right thing. By letting go and allowing it to play out is exactly how we do this. And that is why not many people can do this work at the moment. The consciousness isn't there. And I'm not fluffing my own feathers, because I know if you're watching this, you're probably in this process now and learning the process of letting go of having any control over anything that happens outside of you or within any relationship or circumstance in your own life. This is where we do take the power back. The authentic, truthful heart and soul power that is also being triggered in those higher frequencies coming in from the cosmos that we could see on the Schuman Resonance. So when I put it all together, I could see that, okay, my soul is being triggered in a good way, when not everything that's triggered is a bad thing, right? When we get triggered, we're you know, the personal development and the spiritual sector a lot of times will say, oh, it's not good when you get triggered. But it's okay to be triggered. It shows us what is there to work on, and it also shows us what we're there to move forward in. And with these higher frequencies, my soul was being triggered and saying, it's like, here is what is yours to learn. You have zero control over relationships in your life. You have zero control unless you manipulate and deceit. And I'm not going to do that. I haven't been doing that. But what I have been doing is letting it go. And that is so hard sometimes. So as these frequencies are coming in, not only are your lower densities being triggered, but remember that the higher frequencies are also triggering a remembrance of what is in your heart and your soul, and what it is that you are to be moving forward into and embracing. So if something is being awakened again in you, and you're remembering who you are, you're remembering that you are a divine being, you're remembering that you're a multidimensional being here at this time in our planetary timeline to actually be something to this world. And if you're getting to the point where all of the stress and the anxiety and the worry and and the cycle that keeps going around and around to stay within the life and to control the life that you have because you're hanging on to it. This is the time in history that we are supposed to be letting go of the things that no longer serve us, because this is how we evolve and how we come up into a higher consciousness as a collective. But it takes you and me being brave enough to sit with it and be like, man, I want to control, and I want to manipulate, and I want to get what's mine, right? I want to get back what's mine. But we can't. We can, actually. We have free will to go do it. But I refuse. We've come too far. You have come too far. I have come too far. At this point, the letting go process is the letting go of the suffering that we are in and that we are choosing every time we try really hard to control. And our minds give us all of these things, and they tell us that what we're actually doing is loving things when it's actually controlling things. The best form of love that we can do is let go of relationships that are hurting either side, so that we can have the space to find out if those relationships really are truly to be in our space. And that includes the hardest relationship. It's the kids. It's our kids that we have to let go of sometimes so that they can learn who they are. It's not easy. Sometimes it's our parents that we have to let go of because they have to see who they are when they don't have us, or we don't have them in a codependent, irrational, and unhealthy relationship to keep going round in circles at the same thing, and we find ourselves at the same level of anxiety with this relationship. It could be our jobs that we convince ourselves we can't quit because we have to find something first. What if you just let it go and see where the world takes you? It's a scary freaking place to be, and most people feel so powerless. They'll sit in a powerless space just to stay safe, rather than going one more step up the ladder to where courage is. And then you're in the life expanding place. When you reach the level of courage in a place of faith, then everything conspires for you. But I'm in the place now where I don't know where that conspiring thing is. I don't have anything tangible to hang on to. And it is scary. And many people who have chosen this path, this ascension path, and have trust in just allowing themselves to go through the ascension process of continually making the choices through free will to let go of the stuff that makes them feel like crap and to embrace the stuff that makes them feel expansive and courageous even before they have the tangible thing that shows them that this life is available. We are in a massive growth time at this point, right? And energetically, we've got 4 of our planets that have now come out of retrograde. So they're all speeding up to get back into their regular planetary orbit. So we're all kind of like, whoa, when you get into a car and you put the pedal to the metal, so to speak, you're kind of like this. That's where we are. That's what I knew last night. I knew all of this was going on. I understood what was happening. Doesn't make it feel any better sometimes. My head felt like it was going to expand or explode. It still does, but really it's the pineal gland expanding. It's our consciousness expanding. It's our hearts expanding into greater and greater spaces that we've never been. So that's why all of this feels so familiar. Look, I look all crazy now. The sun's hitting my hair. My hair's all sticking up and stuff. I look like I've been through a battle. And I have. I feel like I have. I feel like I've been through an emotional battle. And we are all in it. And you know what? I didn't want to do this video today. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I knew that I was being tested, not by a God that wants to punish me. It was being tested by my own ego. My ego was saying, see, we don't need to do this. This is all crazy. Just go do something else. You don't have to do that. But if I did that, I'd be choosing the way I've always done things, by going back to the safety of just not doing anything. I'm here doing this video with you to pull you in, to share with me, to pull you into the energy of those of us who are willing to do this hard work. To come back alive and to truly, truly be in a place of higher consciousness, even when the world makes us feel like we're crazy, even when we feel like we're crazy, even when we don't want to do the work, we still do the work, because that is what is going to shift and change the consciousness of our collective, and that is what is going to shift and change your life and my life into higher expressions of being. So now the sunlight is coming in. It feels so warm. I'm going to finish up editing this, and there's something flying around here. Have you seen it? I don't know if you have. I like to think it's a little fairy. Could be a bug. Someone's gonna be like, it's just a bug. But at the same time, when the energy is here, beautiful beings. We are multidimensional beings, and multidimensional beings will visit us, and they will show themselves when the frequency matches theirs. And I truly believe that the frequency of these daily tune-ins is, I know I feel it when I complete them, and when I send them out to the email list, and I get beautiful messages back, y'all. I'm so grateful for those. If you respond to the email and say, hey, I really liked this, or I got this out of the video, or on the comments, they just make a really big difference. Not to, yes, my ego's like, yay, but also to the collective. Okay, the energy of the giving and the sharing and the returning, even just the love in a comment, is the same energy that is created in these higher frequencies that goes back out into the world. So leave your comments and allow us to also revel in the work that you're doing, because I know many of you are doing this work, and it's not easy, and I'm so grateful to have you with me on this timeline, on this beautiful planet at this time. Thank you for being here. If you like this video, please share it. Get it out there. Let more people know they're not crazy by feeling all of the feels that everyone's feeling, and allowing them to understand a little bit more about what's going on. Thanks for being here, and for wherever my little fairy friend is, thanks for visiting us too. Mwah. Bye, guys. If today's daily tune-in brought you value and insight, please consider giving in return for that value by leaving a love offering. All donations go to keeping this platform operating and in service to humanity during these transformational times. To go even deeper into your soul frequency, please consider these offerings. For personal insights into your most pressing questions and concerns, get an energetic insight reading delivered directly to your inbox. To take a quantum leap in your transformation, book a personal session with Vedette. There are several options available based on how deeply you would like to go into your most desired soul-led life. To find more information and to book your sessions, please visit VedetteMayer.com.